YouTube, what's going on? It's Jamar here, Vegas Sense. So in this video, I'm going to be comparing two really heavy hitters in the fragrance community right now. One of them has been a heavy hitter for at least the last decade. The other one, it's been out for about 5 years now or so, but it's just now starting to catch steam within like the last year. So obviously, by looking at the title, you see we're talking about Nishane's Hacivat and Creed Aventus, which I have here in like a little decant sample. So these two fragrances, they get compared a lot to each other, mainly off of the fact that pineapple is like a prominent note in each one of these fragrances. Now they share some other notes as well. And they sort of smell a little similar when you first spray the fragrances on, like in the initial opening. However, I would say as these fragrances start to dry down, and it only takes a matter of minutes really, these fragrances, they do smell very much different, all right? So what I get with Hacivat, when you first spray this on, you get like a really huge blast of, I would say, pineapple, obviously, and grapefruit, all right? So grapefruit is definitely one of the main things that you smell in Hacivat when you first spray this on. There is a little bit of bergamot in there as well, but I feel like the bergamot, you really don't smell too much of that in Hacivat. Now, bergamot is also in Creed Aventus as well. The bergamot is much more prominent in Creed Aventus. When you smell these two side by side, I would say the main thing that you get when you smell Aventus, as opposed to smelling this, is Aventus almost comes off smelling like, it almost has like a sharpness to it that sort of reminds you of like the sharp bergamot opening from like Dior Sauvage. Like that's the best way for me to compare it. Whereas this comes off a lot thicker, I would say, and a little bit more sweeter and heavier than what Aventus does. Now also the strength of these two fragrances, Nishane Hacivat, I would say, is at least about 2 to 3 times stronger than the smell that I get coming from Creed Aventus. When you smell these two side by side, if you smell the Hacivat first, it's really hard to smell the Creed Aventus after smelling this, because this is just so much stronger than the Creed Aventus is. And not saying that Creed Aventus is like a weak fragrance, but compared to Hacivat, is considerably weaker in projection and strength than the Hacivat is. Now, the main thing that I would say causes that to be the case is Aventus is an eau de parfum concentration, and as you can see here on the bottle for the Hacivat, this is an extrait de parfum. So it's a higher concentration of oils in the Nishane fragrance than in the Creed. Now, as these start to dry down, which I have probably like a 15-minute dry down of each one of these. This is the Hacivat over here. This is the Aventus. The Aventus, I would say, you do still get a little bit of the pineapple in the dry down on this one, but it starts to go away. But I would say the main citrus that, at least to my nose, that I still smell in this is I still sort of get like this sort of fresh bergamot type of smell from the Aventus. At this point, I would say it's definitely being a lot more reliant on like the ambergris. So that's the thing that I'm getting from this. It's like a sort of ambergris, musky type of oak moss type of smell with, like I said, the sort of like a bergamot citrus in the background. at least this batch of Aventus, I'm not really getting too much birch from. So this batch, and I have no idea what batch it is because it's just a small sample that doesn't have the batch code written on it. This version of Aventus really does not have any sort of like smokiness to it whatsoever. So I mean, the birch on this one is really not in the picture at all. Whereas the Hacivat, this definitely is a lot more stronger, I would say, on the oak moss than what the Aventus is. And it's definitely heavier on the pineapple as well. The pineapple, when I wear this fragrance, is something that I pretty much smell all throughout the entire life of the fragrance. Even when it, becomes like a skin scent. Pineapple, I feel like it's something that I'm able to smell the entire time. With Aventus, the pineapple fades, I would say maybe like the first 15, 20 minutes of wearing that fragrance, probably even less than that. Again, the Aventus definitely more so focuses on like the ambergris, like the oak moss, patchouli, those type of notes. So the main thing that I would say in comparison between Aventus and Hacivat is the Aventus seems to be the lighter, fresher type of scent. This is still a fresh scent, but it's a lot stronger and heavier, I would say, than what the Aventus is. And it's definitely a lot heavier on the oak moss for sure. For a minute there, and I would say even still, you get like some patchouli as well. I would say the patchouli is a lot more heavier when you're like sort of like in the mid to this fragrance as opposed to like the dry down. You can still smell it kind of mixed in with the oak moss as well. But I would say it's not as heavy as what it was maybe about, I don't know, probably about 5-10 minutes ago or so. But again, the main thing between these two are, I would say the Hacivat is noticeably stronger than the Aventus is. Now, in terms of performance altogether, the Hacivat on me doesn't turn into a skin scent until at least about 5 or 6 or so hours into the fragrance. Whereas Creed Aventus turns into a dead skin scent, I would say probably like the 1.5 to 2 hour mark. It does project pretty decently, at least for those first, hour to 2 hours or so. But like I said, after that, it turns into a complete skin scent. And I would say after about maybe 5 hours, 4 to 5 hours, it's totally undetectable both on clothes and on skin on me. All right, and that's with every batch that I've tried since 2016, which was the earliest batch of Aventus that I tried. So when you look at these two fragrances in terms of performance and price, I would say that the Hacivat is still going to be the better buy. Now, you don't want to buy either one of these retail, because retail, this 50 mil of Hacivat is like $250, $260 or so plus tax. And then obviously Aventus, I want to say it might be for the 75 mil bottle. I think that still goes for like over $300 retail, and for like the 100 mil, it's like $430 plus tax. 100 mil of this, I'm not sure how much it goes for retail, but I know within the Facebook groups, you can get 100 mil of this for a little bit over 200, so like 220, 230. And then 100 mil of Aventus in the Facebook groups ranges anywhere from like 250 to about 270, 280 or so. So the Hacivat, I would say, is definitely still going to be the better buy. Also, this size bottle, the 50 mil, I paid $149 for this one in the Facebook groups. All right, so much better, I would say, than, you know, probably what you could get Aventus for at 50 mil. So overall, I'm gonna have to say that Hacivat, in my opinion, is definitely the new king. You know, I have really no intentions to really wear Aventus anymore because, like I said, at least all of the newer batches, they don't perform on me. You know, I do love the smell of Aventus, but it just doesn't perform on me. And this gives me the type of beast mode, you know, performance that I want out of a scent that smells like this. So I plan on getting probably 100 ml bottle of this, you know, in addition to this 50 ml bottle that I have, because this fragrance honestly is that good. And I do want to try to make this like a signature scent for sure. All right. So let me know if you all agree with my assessment of these two fragrances, and let me know if you think that this fragrance is better than Creed Aventus, you know, obviously if you smell both fragrances. All right. So that's Jamar here, Vegas Scents. I'll see you on the next video.